Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to Mornings with Mary Margaret. My Roomba is going, so you might hear that periodically throughout this adventure that we're going to be going on together. Also, my hair is very wet. I did just shower, so that would be the reason. But it's unfortunately wet, and it's driving me crazy. Anyway, welcome. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Today is Wondering Wednesday. And what are we wondering today, you might be wondering? I don't know. Let's find out. So, on Facebook, which I have been going on more because of the quarantine, but still not a lot because of just, I forget, life. And I don't particularly enjoy being on Facebook, so there's that. But anyway, on Facebook, I was invited to do that little challenge thing where they're like, you post 7 books that you love, one a day for 7 days. You tag somebody every day. And yesterday, I don't know, I mean, I'm just having like a bottleneck. I love a lot of books, but then it's also a question of like, you can't, per the instructions of the challenge, you're not allowed to like give a context or anything. So, or explanations or stories or anything. That's not really my jam. I like to tell stories. And I like people to understand why I like something, but so I'm struggling to pick books that I love without context, I guess. I don't know. I'm definitely overthinking it, but you know what? I'm overthinking everything, so I'm not surprised. But because of the challenge, I remembered how much I loved the Darth Bane trilogy. I don't have them with me. I could have like used them as like a prop, but I did not. The Darth Bane trilogy being Drew. Oh, that's a dog. Juno, can you take the bone onto the couch where it's quieter, maybe? No. Why would she do that? That would make too much sense. The Darth Bane trilogy is Drew Karpyshyn. I don't know how to pronounce it. And it's spelled sort of interestingly too. It's one of his contributions to the old Star Wars extended universe, which has since been like determined to not be canon because of Disney, but whatever. I don't believe in corporate America's ability to determine what books are real and what books are not. Anyway, Darth Bane, I haven't read very much of the extended universe, but the Darth Bane trilogy really caught my imagination. I don't know if it was because of the time I read it, but it's possible. I read it during grad school. But Darth Bane, Juno, here, put that up there, yeah. Ooh, go on the couch and chew on it. She might actually do it. I might have just figured out she's gonna do it. All right, nice. You'll still be able to hear it, but it won't be quite as loud. But Darth Bane is the reason that there are only ever 2 Sith. So I'm not wondering about Darth Bane today, but that was just a thing. So Darth Bane he existed thousands of years. I don't even know the scale of time. But he existed several thousand years before like the Star Wars movies took place. I think, like, I'm not even sure, but like in my mind, it's like the Star Wars movies, they happened at this time right here, and we'll like put them right here. So they happened at this time. And then like way over there everything else, because everything else that I've involved myself with in the Star Wars is like a super long time before that. So Star Wars, The Old Republic, it's a MMO, massive multiplayer online game that I played for a while. That takes place a long time before, even before Darth Bane. And then Star Wars Knights of the Old, I think it's Knights of the Old Republic, is also, it's like hundreds of years before that. So just like everything that I ever cared about was like took place way before the movies, any of the movies. But Darth Bane was in there. And what's interesting is I did not play very far into Knights of the Old Republic. I struggle to commit to things when it comes to video games. So it has to really draw me in for me to like want to play it. And generally it has to be on a console for me to like want to play through it. It's just a personal blockage, and there she did get off the couch, so she is now in the hallway just staring at me, throwing her bone around. Cool. Anyway, so I did not play much of Knights of the Old Republic, but I played enough to know that the main character that you play is a force-sensitive person who has no idea who they are because they just don't remember. Now, also in Darth Bane trilogy, they talk about Darth Revan. I don't remember what they don't say much about him, but they talk about him. And then in the Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO, they talk about Darth Revan again also, and they talk about well, it's flipped. Nice. Star Wars: The Old Republic is over here, and it's earlier than Darth Bane. Whatever. So in the Old Republic, in SWTOR is what we call it, SWTOR. KOTOR, SWTOR, and Darth Bane. So in SWTOR, the Darth Revan is mentioned as, and I don't remember exactly the thing, but they talk, there's like this one side quest that you go on where you are like inducted into being a Revanite. And it's like followers of Revan don't believe in the Sith or the Jedi, I think. Anyway, he just seemed like an interesting person. So then I was like, okay, I guess I'll just like wonder about Revan for Wondering Wednesday. And I was like, but let me check really quick to make sure that there's like enough information about him. I don't know if he's just like a blip on the life screen of Star Wars. Turns out, big spoilers, big spoiler alert, heads up, I'm going to spoil just pretty much everything. Turns out Revan is actually canonically the character that you play in Knights of the Old Republic in KOTOR. Which is a big lie because I played a woman. And Revan isn't a woman, but whatever. The Darth Revan is the character that you're playing as the protagonist in Knights of the Old Republic. So, turns out there's a lot of stuff about Revan. So I'm gonna quick look into it a little bit. I knew nothing. I knew like I did not know that he was the protagonist in KOTOR, and so when I went to the Wikipedia page, I was like, am I looking at the right guy? Am I talking about the right person? Is this how you spell Revan? I don't know. But so Darth Revan, I'm trying to find just like his Revan timeline. Yeah, if I go to Wikipedia instead of Wikipedia, that'll have a better situation. Oh, the character of Revan was reestablished in the current Star Wars canon continuity when they were mentioned in the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, the Visual Dictionary, 2019 reference book written by Lucasfilm Story Group. Interesting. So his first thing was Knights of the Old Republic. I don't. Ooh. Playing a video. I want to see the video. Okay. Well, I mean, it really wants me to see the video, but whatever. Revan was born in 3994 BBY. In somewhere in the Outer Rim territories. What is BBY? Standard Galactic Calendar. BBY stands before the Battle of Yavin. And ABY stands for after the Battle of Yavin. As in the Battle of Yavin 4? Sorry, I'm clearly just easily derailed. We're not going to learn about Revan at all. Yavin, the Battle of Yavin. Yavin. The Battle of the Death Star. Yeah, okay. The Miracle. So the destruction of the first Death Star. So it was, what would that have been, the fourth movie? So yeah. So 3,994 BBY, meaning 3,994 years before the Star Wars, the movies. Oh my goodness, Gene? No. Weirdo. He was raised as a Jedi. So yeah, at this time, Jedi were found as very young children, and they were brought into the Jedi Order as soon as they were discovered to be Force sensitive, and then they were trained. And if they weren't Force sensitive enough to be Jedi, they just became something else, but they were still part of the Jedi Order. Or they like worked for the Jedi. It's sort of a bad system. There's a lot of pedagogy involved that I don't approve of, but I mean, it's better than the Sith, who just kill the ones who are Force sensitive, but not enough to be Sith. So I don't know. So the child known as Revan or the child later known as Revan, was found by the Jedi Order and apprenticed to the Jedi Master Kreia. He had an insatiable hunger for knowledge, and he became a promising pupil, the most promising pupil of the Jedi at the time. He became a Jedi Knight. And he was critical of the Jedi orders in activity during Mandalorian wars between the Galactic Republic and the Mandalorian Neo Crusaders. Now, you guys might remember or recognize the word Mandalorian from Disney's new TV show, The Mandalorian. Mandalorian is not I'm sort of interested in this because this is also something that came up in the video games that I played. My Roomba is coming. You're gonna hear it. There's almost no way that you cannot hear it. Mandalore. So the Mandalorians are not, as my understanding, they are not a race of people, not like humans or the Yoda, the Yodas, whatever they are, or the Twi'leks or anything like that. They are just they are sort of like a cult, basically. Yeah, that's I don't want to go into that. It's getting me away from Revan. But anyway, Mandalorians, interesting. Look them up. So Revan thought that the Order should be more involved in the Mandalorian Wars. And in defiance of the Jedi Council, he took the name Revan and started the Revanchist. How do you pronounce that? Revanchist? It looks like anarchist. Revanchist. Weird. So anyway, Revanchist movement to combat the Mandalorians as the Republic's military. To combat the Mandalorians as the Republic military's supreme commander. So, as a Jedi, he was not supposed to be that closely allied to the Republic, even though the Jedi were super allied to the Republic. But he became the military's supreme commander, which goes against the Jedi Council. Revan and his forces gradually pushed back the Mandalorians, saving countless worlds at the price of devastating moral compromises and the embrace of the dark side practices. So, on Malachor 5, whatever that is, Revan defeated the Mandalorian leader Mandalore the Ultimate, in single combat and ordered the activation of the Mass Shadow Generator superweapon, destroying both armies and the planet, but winning the war in the process. Mass Shadow Generator. That sounds rough. Oh, okay. So he was the one who sort of commissioned it to be ordered, to be built. It's a vast gravity vortex, powerful enough to crush countless ships into the planet's crust and fracture Malachor 5, the planet, to its very core. So it's intense. Revan and Malak, best buds forever, were hailed as great heroes. Having ended indisputably the Mandalorian Wars, but then they disappeared. They were investigating Sith influence behind the Mandalorian Wars, and they discovered a hidden Sith empire and fell under the thrall of Sith Emperor Vitiate. Vitiate? Vitiate? Vitiate. I don't know. It's fun to say Vitiate, so I'm going to say that. Sith Emperor Vitiate. So he was using mind control. He was using mind control, and he told them to find a Star Forge, the mystical Star Forge, which I don't know if that forges stars or uses a star to forge a thing. Oh, it's a giant automated shipyard. And it does look like it uses a star to power itself. Yeah, so basically just a way to build a lot of ships really fast. So he wanted them to find the Star Forge and use it to escalate plans of a galactic invasion. But Darth Revan and Darth Malak were able to break through the mind control, and then they used the Star Forge for themselves. Cool. And created their own Sith Empire and a fleet of warships. Intent on unifying the galaxy to destroy the lurking Sith menace, they returned to the galaxy as conquerors and battled the Jedi and the Republic in the resultant Jedi Civil War. Revan almost succeeded, but Malak usurped the throne and fired aboard his flagship during a Jedi ambush led by Bastila Shan. Revan nearly died, but Bastila healed him and took him before the surviving Jedi for judgment. That's rough. So interesting. Oh my good gracious. It's interesting how they started as Jedi. They went looking for the Sith after having done some morally ambiguous things that involved dark side practices in the Mandalorian Wars. So then they went looking for the Sith. I guess looking to like defeat them or something. But when they found the Sith, the Sith Emperor brainwashed them, sort of used mind control on them to make them his flunkies. And then when they broke free of that, they were still Sith because they wanted to create their own Sith Empire. But they also wanted to destroy the lurking Sith menace. And they got into a fight with the Jedi. Anyway, so Revan is almost killed. Malak betrayed him. And he was taken before the Jedi Council for judgment. Now, the Jedi Council used their powers to wipe Revan's mind and soon retrained him as a Jedi. So this is where KOTOR comes in, because that is sort of like what you think of when you think of yourself in KOTOR. Alongside Bastila and newfound companions, Revan was tasked to relocate the Star Forge, the heart of Darth Malak's Sith Empire. So Darth Malak got away or something and is still able to be do Sithy things. But Darth Revan, his best bud, got stuck having his mind wiped. So you have the events of the KOTOR games or game. That sorry, that's not good video. It's just me staring and reading a thing. I don't want to go through the whole game thing because I'm sure people have played it. I'm sure my one viewer had played it. So Interesting. Kept in stasis for 300 years, Revan waged telepathic war against the Emperor. The Sith Emperor, not Malak, a different one. Tempering his hate and stalling his invasion at terrible cost to his own psyche. Revan was eventually freed by Republic forces and took control of the Foundry space station to construct an army of extermination droids against the Empire. So there's really a theme to him of just constructing things that he maybe shouldn't be constructing. Interesting. So he was eventually killed. Story is not that interesting, but because of all that telepathic war he waged, part of him became one with the Force, and his light side parts, the parts of him that were devoted to the light side, became one with the Force in the sort of like Yoda. What's his name? Obi-Wan sort of way. But the darker half rejected death and resolved to destroy Vitiate. You can just do that? You can just reject death. You can just decide I'm not going to die. So Revan, still alive even though dead, planned to resurrect the Emperor Vitiate to a physical form so that he could kill him. So he was literally doing the thing where you bring him back to life so you can kill him again. Okay, so people who were concerned that this was weird, that a dead man was trying to kill a dead man. There's just a lot going on there. They worked with the light side of Revan, which had been completely detached from the dark side of Revan. And they sort of allied themselves with Revan's light side to defeat him. I mean, I don't know what that means when a person is already dead and a dead person is fighting him, but they defeated dark side Revan and reunited light side and dark side Revan, and then they died together. Yeah. So that's mostly Revan. His connection to Darth Bane was that Darth Bane discovered Revan's Sith holocron, and holocrons are sort of like if you found someone's Zanga. They're like an old, at least I think it's like they're an old technology where Sith would put, maybe not just Sith, probably Jedi do it too, but they would put like their basically all their knowledge, usually maybe on like one topic, but like usually like all of it, and it would be more than just like a book that you would read. It would be like you're absorbing the consciousness, and so you would learn a lot of things from these very old sources of information. So Darth Bane found Revan's holocron and he used its teachings to destroy the reigning Brotherhood of Darkness. That happens in the first book of the Darth Bane trilogy. I do recommend, if you have any interest in anything related to Star Wars, I do recommend the Darth Bane trilogy. It is, I don't know why I find it so interesting, but it is very interesting. And I've talked for 30 minutes now, so I really shouldn't like go on too much about it, but but it's interesting the sort of like emotional twists and turns it takes you on in your sort of like natural interest in the protagonist, who turns out to be Darth Bane. So yeah, it's just interesting the place that he starts from to the place that he goes to, and then like the person he becomes at the end of the trilogy. Like it's just very, it's an emotional roller coaster. And I found it really interesting as talking about philosophy, because that's Bane's whole transformation comes from like the fact that he just went from being this miner basically on like a garbage planet to being, you know, the Lord of the Sith. And he did that by learning, and then by like coming to conclusions and deciding what was important. And sort of his previous life set him up for that, because the previous life he was an outcast anyway and people hated him. So when he went to train as a Sith, and they hated him there for him being like having weird philosophies and values, he was just sort of like, okay, everyone's always hated me, so I don't care. I don't know. It's very dark, but dark in the Star Wars way of being dark, where like, I don't know, like I can't read. I don't know. I don't really get into things where we talk about like the cruft of humanity, because that's just, you know, I think it's because I work too much with things that are really bad in the world, and I just don't want to. I have to think about it on a real life for my job and for my life. I don't like reading about it in my fantasies, my fictions, but I don't remember Darth Bane feeling like that, which is ironic because it's talking about. It's very literally about a person trying to be the worst person. Like the Sith are not good by any stretch of the imagination, but there's like it's like in Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm just making lots of really great connections here that everyone's gonna get. But it's like in Avatar: The Last Airbender, where the firebenders, you know, they're using like their anger and their passion and whatever. And if you can have emotionless passion, then you can have lightning, blue fire, the kind of fire that Azula had. And Bane is like that. Bane has sort of a like single-minded passion for order, bringing order to the world. And I think, I don't know, I don't remember exactly the situation, but I remember feeling like he had to be a Sith because he couldn't be a Jedi. So, I don't know. Read the book. I suggest it. Happy Wednesday. Make good choices. I'm going to go dry my hair because this is a mess. Don't do drugs. And I'll see you tomorrow.